Good evening. Well, say good evening. I don't know if you can hear this, but the rain is hammering down outside. So the best place to be is inside and have some crafting on the go. So I'm just waiting to see if anybody's out there or if you're all hiding away from the weather. Following on from what we did last week, which was the beautiful fusible film, we're going to explore the other side of the film, which is where it's processed into fibres. So they take the film, they shred it up and they make it into fibres, and there's a huge pile here you can't see, there's lots to play with. So we'll have a little play with some of these. So we have two different types to play with. We have Crystallina, which the easiest way to remember Crystallina is it's the crunchy one. It's slightly thicker cut, so it has more texture to it. And then you have the Angelina, which is the very, very fine stuff. Now, this isn't angel hair. This is Angelina fibres made from the same material as the fusible film. So it's a heat reactive fibre. So it's fabulous. But it will, again, like the film, it only bonds to itself or film because it's the same thing as the fusible film. We have got loads of colours. We have got things like, this is pink sherbet, peacock, I mean, look at that colour, astral blue. These are in the Crystallina. We have more colours in the Crystallina, but we have things like rainbow thunder. I mean, this is just amazing. Oh, I know why you can't see me, because I haven't done this. Hello. There you go, forgot to do that bit, forgot to press a button. Yes, so, hello everybody, yay, there you go, I'm here. Right, so yeah, so you've got things like peacock, you've got the astral blue, you've got the pink sherbet, you have got the key lime. This is an Angelina, so incredibly fine, which means we can get the... you should have picture now, everybody. Just check, because I can see me on the screen. So, hello, Sue. This one is lemon sparkle. I mean, you know, there's no other name for it than lemon sparkle. There are so many for us to play with. There's gold, there's silver, there's amazing crystal ones, which just, I mean, I'm going to swap to the overhead camera now, because I think you'll be able to see the colours a little bit better on that one. Yeah, so there's the gold sparkle, silver iris, sugar plum. I mean, the names are delightful. Calypso blue. Calypso blue comes in both Angelina and Crystallina. Now you can see the difference there of the Angelina and the Crystallina, and you can hear the difference. Okay, I always remember crystal, crunchy. Mint sparkle, purple flash. I mean, look at that. That's an Angelina. Okay, shall we get started and actually have a play with some of these? Right, so just like the fusible film, although these do shed a little bit, they love playing with stamps. So the stamps we've got to play with tonight are the 3 Tree Hill that we did last week as well. The floral tile, just because, again, it's got these big open spaces, which are perfect for this kind of project. And then one you haven't seen, which is sunflower. Now, I love the sunflower because you can have it sort of, you can rotate it and do all sorts of things. And that's the one I've got down on the table. So again, like with the film, you don't need to use this with an acrylic block. You can just stick it straight down to the counter. I would work on a cutting mat or a glass cutting mat. I am going to, again, ink this up with some Stays On. Doesn't have to be Stays On, but Stays On dries quickly, so I don't have to worry. And just to get started, I'm going to come in with a little bit of the Peacock Angelina. So this is the fine one, and I'm just sort of spreading it out. You get 7 grams in the bags, which doesn't sound much, but when you see it as quite a lot. And you can see, you know, I've not really taken very much at that, so I'm just going to cover. Hello Mira, hello Maxine, And yeah, sorry, yeah, Sarah Jane, sorry, apologies, I forgot to press. I only have one job to do, which is press some buttons, and I forgot. Right, your baking parchment again. Now, I do want to just address an issue that was mentioned in some comments after last week's about if you iron directly onto the thing, the fibres and the film, that you wreck your iron. You don't with these. All that happens is they stick to your iron, and if anybody saw me on highlight yesterday, I managed to do it a couple of times. Just let your iron cool and they'll just pick straight off. Obviously, if you get a load stuck to it, don't continue ironing, because then it might burn. Hello, Maureen. But it's best to just turn it off, let it cool, and then they will just peel off. And obviously save them, because... Right, so can you see that amazing colour already coming through there? Right, let it cool and then peel it off. Look at that. Let me do this so that you can see that. So again, it's indented in, but look at those colours there. Oh, they see that copper. So this is the Peacock Angelina. Isn't it beautiful? Okay. So that's just using Angelina straight on top. But you can, I'm going to re-ink, and this time I'm going to go with the teal. I've got two different StazOns on the go. I actually left my darker blue in my basket, which is at home from where I unloaded the car yesterday. So, right, let's come in. So I'm going to sort of try and arrange this a little bit. So I've got a bit of key lime going in there. Okay. And what other one have we got? Oh, let's bring in a bit of the silver down the side there. A bit of the silver. So again, I'm sticking with the Angelina at the moment, just to get us all warmed up. Now, there is one colour on the website which doesn't have a picture, and it's because I have very, very little of it left. Okay, and that is the watermelon. Can you see that colour? Isn't it amazing? But I really don't have much of this left. Okay, so I'm just going to position that. So I'm just sort of arranging it a little bit. Okay, so you can mix the colours. Again, your baking parchment over. My iron is on hot, but it's not particularly warm in here, hence why I've got a long sleeve top on underneath my t-shirt, because it's not that warm. Okay, just ironing it. And you'll notice as you iron it, the image of the stamp starts to come through. You see it on the baking parchment. Okay, so just keep ironing it until you can see that image through. Peel it off and peel again, and look at those. Let me flick again, because I think you might be able to see those colours again better. Isn't that lovely? So that's just Angelina on its own, and you can see where the colours have sort of mixed together. And obviously these edge bits, you can trim them off, and just like with the fusible film, any bits that you don't use or you want to reuse, you can actually save them and then re-iron them later. But what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to take it one step further. I'm actually going to fold that back over with it facing up, and I'm actually going to iron out that texture. Now, because I've stamped it with a StazOn, the image is still there, but what I'm hoping to do is intensify some of the colours. You see how it's changed? It's gone flat, but that sparkle, and you can see the individual lines of the silver just going through that, and it just gives it a different look. If you remember this one that had all the texture, but this one's gone flat, but you've intensified some of the colours. Okay, so that's just your Angelinas on their own. Let's have a look at the Crystallinas for a minute. So let's come in with this one. So this is Passionate Pink. Now, if I was to take my stamp again and lay the crystalinas on, oh, let's have a bit of the, oh, I haven't inked it up, bear with me. I just want to ink it up just so it will show up a little bit. Don't worry about the stray bits of fibre on there. The only thing, just remember, if you are going to stamp it normally, make sure you've cleaned all the fibres off. Right, so a little bit of the Rainbow Thunder and a little bit of the Passionate Pink. And should we have a bit of the Sugar Plum in there as well, just because we can? So you'll see that this is a lot coarser. I mean, apart from anything else, it's sitting up further off the stamp as well. So this is going to take a little bit more ironing. Okay. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Louise. Right, so I'm just ironing this down. So again, you're looking for the same thing. You're looking to see that image start to show through on the baking parchment. Okay. So ironing this down. Okay. I mean, wow, look at that sparkle. But when we turn it over, can you see there's a lot more texture to it? It's a lot chunkier. So sometimes it's harder to make out the stamped image. So there's a couple of things you can do. One, embrace it and enjoy it like that. I mean, you are still, if I do that, you can still see that stamped image there, and it's just got amazing texture. And especially again, if you put a little bit of black behind it, that makes it show up even more. But the other thing you can do is, instead of putting the fibres straight on top of the stamp first, you can actually make yourself a little piece of it first. So I'm going to come in with the same colours. Oh no, that's a different colour, because obviously I've spread everything all over the place already. There we go. I'm going to throw in a little bit of this one just so that we've got the same sort of colours to. So just the orange colour is lovely. It is really lovely. But I'm just sitting here, and the way the colour's catching there, there's these beautiful golds and things coming through. So I'm just going to iron this down. So that's just a load of the fibres all together. Okay. So iron them all down nice and flat. I mean, and you can see already, look at that. Isn't that just fabulous? Okay, so now we have a sheet of it. Let's do a different stamp this time. Let's bring in our floral tile. Okay, going to ink it up again. Dramatically ink it up. Okay. Lay that down on top. And this time iron it, and again we're going to look for the image to sort of show through a little bit. It doesn't always show through, but it gives you a rough idea that you've done it for long enough. You can just see it a little bit there. Okay, I'm not using both hands just to warm my hands up. Again, you can see the colours have started to change. And look at that. So you've got more, the colours are intensified, but you see how you've got more of the stamped image showing. You've not got that amazing texture you have with this. I mean, I love that, the feel of it, you know, and that's just so usable. But there, if you want to have, or if you've got a more detailed stamp, you've got that beautiful feel to it. Again, it's just, but look at the richness of the colours that have come through here and the golds. I mean, you can see there is just something, again, think of your fairy wings and things like that. They are, a heat gun will work, and I will show you with a heat gun in a minute. But what you won't get with a heat gun is the flatness that you get with the iron. But we'll do a heat gun one in a minute. Right. Okay, let's combine the two, because we have been keeping them separate at the moment, but we haven't done this one. Let's bring in, I'm just going to cut the top off that. Let's bring in a bit of, this is ultraviolet. And I'm going to do a base of ultraviolet. Okay, I'm just going to iron that down onto the stamp. Okay, get myself a base going. So it's a little bit of pressure as well as the heat that's going to get this nice and flat and really shaping around that stamped image. Okay, so I'm just giving a little bit of attention. My stamps can withstand it, so remember, this is only for your photopolymer and your red rubber. I mean, you can already see, I mean, the back of it is beautiful. I mean, just look at the colours in there. And you have got quite a bit of definition there. I mean, you know, you put that on a card, it would, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do some Angelina versions, and then we could cut them out and lay them on like a bit like we did last week. So what Angelina colours do I want? Let's go something, I haven't done the, let's do a bit of gold. I'm going to do a bit of gold there, a bit of purple flash here, and then actually I'm going to do one of the crystals. This is Crystal Sun, and it is sort of somewhere between Crystallina and Angelina in feel, so it actually works quite nicely with the Angelina, but then on the same note it would go in with the Crystallina. So it's just a little bit in between that particular one. Can you write on this? Yeah, you can. Once it's smooth enough, yes, you could write on it. I would use something like a Posca pen on it, which I haven't got with me at the moment. Yeah, or a nice gold metallic pen. We will have a play with some embossing powder and stuff on it later, a bit like we did last week, just because we can. So we've got that beautiful gold in there. So you know, you could do like we were doing last week, just cutting out elements. Now obviously, unlike the film, the fibres, where you've ironed it into the stamp, if the fibres were sort of pressed into the stamp, sometimes they don't overly fuse because they've not pressed into the iron. So you just have to be a little bit careful when you're cutting out like this. Okay, I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to take some of these petals here. Again, save all these bits. You can of course combine this with the film, you know, and sandwich bits between. So if you were wanting to write, yeah, the flower is perfect for doodling on, but if you are wanting to write, you know, but have a smoother surface to work on, either work on the back as you saw the beautiful design come through, or maybe put a little bit of film down as well. Okay, I think that's going to be quite interesting. So I am going to move my stamp out of the way because that will give you a flatter surface. Right, so I'm now going to put that down again and iron straight down. So what this is going to do is this is going to fuse those layers together. But also, again, we're introducing more heat, so the colours will change a bit as well. And you've got that design. I should have re-inked my stamp so that we'd got those petal designs. But again, as we said, you could come in and doodle on them. But I am going to... Sorry, cutting mat. You'll flatten out. You did last week. Right, I'm using baking parchment, Diane. Just a bit of baking parchment. I have treated myself to a new bit from last week, because last week's one also went and did all the Fusible film demos yesterday as well. So I thought, you know, I'll retire it. Dramatically inking up. Now I know this isn't going to line up perfectly, but let's try that now and see what happens. So I've just, all those layers, I'm just ironing it back down. So I'm sort of going to reintroduce the texture and hopefully, oh yes, that's worked, because you've added in that texture. And again, the colours have changed. So from that, this colour, that's the colour we started with. But look at the colours. Where's this purple come from? This green, this gold. It's just beautiful. Okay, isn't that lovely? Right, let's just quickly address the heat gun. No, the green mat, that's just my normal cutting mat. Which it shouldn't really be. It should be a glass cutting mat, but it's the only one I've got up here. So I just stick my stamps directly to it because they don't need to be on an acrylic block for this. Right, so heat gun. Sorry, might look a bit spooky, but I couldn't find the seashell. So I've just got a plaster of Paris face, one of our plaster faces. And I'm going to just drape over some of the film fibre. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my heat gun and I'm just going to start applying the heat. You can see it starting to shrink down. Now it is warm, but it's not roasting hot, so I can come in and start pushing. Now if you are a bit sensitive to heat on your fingers, you can use a paintbrush or something, but my hands are so cold, to be fair, that it wouldn't matter. Just while it's warm, you can press it and it will start to shape. Now I know that looks quite ghostly, but you can see it's taken on the shape. And when we remove, I mean the inside you've got interesting colours, but when you remove it, it keeps its shape. So really good on your canvases. They're not heat proof really, Diane. Not ideal. It's all right for ironing on because I'm keeping it flat, but they're not a massive fan of heat. But with the fibre and everything, I'm not really ironing so directly onto it, because when I'm sandwiching, I am using my baking parchment. But no, it does get a little bit of a wobble in the middle. But look at that, isn't it fabulous? Glass cutting mats are the best for this, but the problem with the glass cutting mat and an overhead camera is it can sometimes cause a bit of glare. So there you go, that's using it with a heat gun. You can also take your heat gun to the edges, and again, just like we were doing last week, it will sort of curl up and get a little bit more shape to it, a bit more organicness to it. It will never be quite as flat, but it's a nice way of bringing in those little edges. But I think right, if you're having problems with your green cutting mat, soak it in a bath of cold water. That rejuvenates them. But as I say, this is going to withstand a little bit of heat because I'm not working on it with like a torch or anything. It has got a bit of protection. So yeah, but a glass cutting mat is ideal. Right. So we've done a little bit with the heat gun, so that answers that question. And again, you can use the heat gun with that. The trouble is with a heat gun is you need a little bit of pressure. So maybe if you had a rolling pin or something as well, you could shape it. Again, you can wrap it around things and heat it and it will wrap round. So again, for doing beads and things like that. Right, let's do our tin foil again because this is really lovely. So let's get that nicely scrumpled up. And what colour haven't we done yet? Oh, what's this one? This is one of the crystals. I know this is Opal Haze, so we'll do a bit of that one, and we'll do a bit of this one. This is the one that's got a bit of green in it. I'm a bit rubbish at remembering the colours of the crystals. Okay, let's give that an iron down. Okay, so you can't really see that on the tin foil, but again, let it cool and then peel it off. And again, you've got that fabulous texture. It's just really beautiful. Let me go to that camera. Just the colour of it is amazing. You imagine fairy wings and things like that. But again, you could take that and iron it on top of, tell you what one we haven't done yet. We haven't done our trees. So I'm going to take this bit I've already just fused and let's bring in a bit of peacock, I think. So I'm actually going to do a mixture. So I'm going to leave a little bit of texture on there. I do need to ink up my stamp. Yeah, I mean, for snowflakes and things like that, it is beautiful stuff. And obviously, again, you can die cut, you can cut it up. Lay that over that and that. Okay. Give it a good old iron. Again, you can see, look at these colours. You see that? But I'm actually going to, I think, put this back in and iron that down again, because obviously here it was already a sheet, up here wasn't. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a rub. Can you see that? Isn't that fabulous? I mean, look at those colours. Again, you could cut these out, you could put light behind them. It's just, and it's so strong when it's like this. So we haven't looked at astral blue. So let's do something with astral blue. And I'm just going to throw in Angelina, Crystalina, a bit more Angelina. I'm getting just a nice little mix of colours here. Okay, sort of keeping a little bit of a theme there. Sort of frosty again. Not that it's frosty outside, it's just tipping it down the rain. Okay, here we go. So it doesn't take long to get these ironed down. Beautiful. Now I'm going to decide which side do I like the best. I actually think this one, because you're seeing the individual colours, but you can see the sort of difference of texture you're getting. Now shall we go Three Tree Hills again? Because it's sort of a frosty feel. Right, this is the only trouble with fibres, is they just get everywhere. Okay. And it's fine as long as you remember to clean your stamps up before you use them, because otherwise you'll get, what's that line across the stamp? And it'll be a bit of fibre. Okay. And I'm wanting that in a minute. Okay. Iron it down. Okay, give it a good old rub. Yeah, right. Throwing in some embossing powder and hoping my Stays On is still wet enough to hold it. Might not be, but we'll see. If not, we'll try a different ink. I've got some distress ink underneath. Right, I am going to have to just shake my baking parchment. I think so. Right, I'm just going to give it a little blast with a heat gun. And to see if that embossing powder, don't think much clung because I was using Stays On. So we'll try that again with a different ink pad. I do love the colours, how it changed. It just gives it a little bit, no it didn't. Right, so let's start that again. But this time, let's see what ink I've got underneath here. If I use a distress ink, so that's not going to be any good to show up. It might be. What have I got? Peel paint. No, let's go with a darker one. Vintage Photo. So that might show up, but I'm hoping really what I'm looking for is the moisture so that I can throw in some embossing powder. I'm not even looking what I'm doing here. I'm just throwing in some fibres. Okay, and I can tell you now from the noise outside, I'm glad I'm not out there. Don't know if you can hear, but the rain isn't half tipping down. So if the boys want to go out for another walk, I'm afraid they're going to have to wait. Okay, so just rubbing that down. Okay, here we go. Now let's hope that that distress ink can grab a little bit of this. Ideally you want something like perfect medium, or I think we've got some this time. Okay. Into there. Obviously now I have a few bits of fibre in my embossing powder, but that's fine. Right, so I could iron this and that would also set the embossing powder, but I am going to do it with my heat gun, but I'm going to have to really pay attention because obviously if it's going to heat too much, it will change my fibre as well. There we go, it's starting to go. So just keep an eye. You can just see the embossing powder starting to turn. But you can also see those fibres doing their thing as well. So it's sort of shrinking a little bit. And the colour changing as well. Did you see that petrol colour really come through there? I think I'm happy with that. Doesn't that look cool? So you've got that shine, little bit of shine from the embossing powder. It's still maintained its shape, but you've also intensified the colours with the extra heat. So isn't that beautiful? So that's really playing with the fibres. But just, again, all these little scrappy bits that, that all these little bits, that you might want to trim off. Again, you can just pile them up, fold that over and just iron them down, so you're not wasting anything again. See what we've got. So we've got a lovely delicate mixture there, I think. Now this is from Floral Creations. I don't know if this is still on the website. Actually, I'm not going to use that one because it's got embossing powder on the back. I will go to our lovely floral tile again. So I'm going to come in with some stays on, inking it up. So these are just the scraps. Remember, they're just the scraps. And just, again, gently ironing it. And these were scraps of Angelina, Crystallina, everything. And even that, even though it's got little holes in it, but if I put a bit of black behind that, doesn't that look, it's almost sort of, I don't know, a bit like a collapsed, a little bit of sort of mosaicing. In fact, that would be a really nice idea. Just had a thought there. So, saying mosaic, let's make a little sheet of that one, a little sheet of this one. So that's Rainbow Thunder and Ultraviolet. Okay. And this is what I love about stuff like this, is it sparks your imagination just playing with some, I mean, look how much I've done in tonight's live. And we're only 37 minutes in. Right, so I've got 2 panels, okay, and then I'm going to do 2 more in sort of sort of slightly different colours. We're going to go with a bit of pink sorbet and then a little bit of passionate pink. Okay, there we go. By the way, this is the only time I happily iron. Okay. Right, again, look at the colours. So, I'm going to cut some random shapes from these. Okay, so there's a little square of that one. Again, I'm going to keep all these bits that I'm cutting off at the side there, a bit of that one. So I'm just sort of squaring these off a little bit. So I'll square that off, and then I'm going to have that and that. I mean, just, you can see this is just beautiful colours and just, it's magical. So I'm going to have that and that. And then finally, I'm going to come in with a little bit of this one. And I think I'm going to make myself a bookmark. Oh no, I'm just going to make a panel. So I'm just sort of slightly overlapping these, because obviously I'm going to want to fuse these. So if I have them overlapping, obviously it's got something to fuse to. Bit of pink coming in there. That one there, and if I swap that for that, that for, see, this is where I'm going to now faff for 5 minutes when I do this. Just talk amongst yourselves while I faff. I'm not going to try and square it up too much. I can do that after I've ironed it. But you can see what I'm sort of, my brain's doing. And like that. Oh, I think I quite like that. Yeah, happy with that. Okay, right, so down it goes. And here we go and fuse that all down. Okay. So we've now got one sheet. There's a little bit there that's not, so I'm just going to rotate that round because I think it was a bit near the crease. Just give it another little iron, and then I think that's going to have to be our flower tile underneath there. I mean, just look at it. I mean, what other medium can you do things like that with? I mean, again, that would be a fabulous, just on its own with a nice black silhouette of something, but I am going to use it over the stamp. So again, bring your stamp in. Ink it up. I should have my darker blue here because I think this is going to need. Okay, now I've got stays on my fingers. Good job, the only cooking I'm doing tonight is doggy treats. Starting doing Marvin and Tonka's gift bags to their pals tonight. So we have cheese and bacon, liver brownie and cranberry bones going on tonight. Let's have a look. I think you're going to have to see it on this side. Look at that. I just love that because it's got that kind of almost Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat feel with those beautiful colours. I mean, this purple that's come through here is just beautiful. I love that kind of idea, the fact that you can take all these different colours and just play with them. So obviously we now have these bits left, which were those edges that I trimmed off. So again, we're not going to waste them, and these are going to have a more organic feel because obviously we've got little wispy bits. So again, I'm just going to pile them up willy-nilly. Now that was one of the squares I didn't use. I'm not going to throw that in because it's a bit too angular. Even though I have got straight lines within here where I've cut it, I'm just going to, so just fold that over again. And down it goes. I mean, I could do this all night. I'm not going to. But you can see just how much creativity you can do with these. And just like the film, you can stitch these onto things. You can die cut them. You can stamp onto them. You can, you know, it's just, I mean, that's just a sheet. Imagine that as a topper. It's just, the colours are just amazing. And you know, like we did last week with the leaf and the feather, you could easily do that again with these with a more delicate feel. So let me just do a little feather with that. It's quite hard when it's shiny that I don't want to cut too far because I haven't obviously put a wire in like I did last week. But you can see, and again, anything that's got a bit of movement with these. Oh, this is tricky. Might go a bit shorter on this side because I genuinely can't overly see. If it suddenly falls in half, I'll just iron it and put it back together again. But I mean, just, you can see, it's just the colours. So then if I do a little bit of heat gun, just to give that a little bit of lift and a bit of movement. And also if I sort of hold it up like this, it is going to take that shape. Just like our face did, it holds its shape. I think my heat gun might be on the way out. I mean, just I mean, imagine petals of a leaf, petals of a leaf, petals of a flower. And again, you've got all these bits, but if you don't like it, pile it back up, iron it down, and nobody will know. You've just got all these just stunning colours to play with. So is there any colour people want to see changed? Yeah, any colour of any of these colours that you want to see me iron and change so that you can... No, I don't think that is what they use for magic fish. Do you mean the magic fish that you used to get in the in your cracker that you used to put in your hand, and you'd have to, and it would say whether you were passionate or anything? I don't think it's the same. I think that was just very, very thin plastic, and it just reacted to the heat of your hand. But yeah, is there any colours people want to see? So we've got the peacock there in the Angelina and the Crystallina. This was the Rainbow Thunder. Actually, let's go to... That's probably a better one for showing. So that's the Rainbow Thunder. That's the pink sorbet. That's the key lime. That's an Angelina. That's Passionate Pink, Crystallina. This is Opal Haze, Crystallina. Have we done any? Yes, we have done yellow. Lemon Sparkle, Calypso Blue, Angelina, Watermelon, Purple Flash, Gold Iris. If there's any colour you want to see now, just holler or type. And I can show you. Mint Sparkle. Have we done any Mint Sparkle? Let's do a little bit of Mint Sparkle to show. Right, okay. No, let's do that one. You don't want to see me. Right. Clear the decks. Right, so let's do a little bit of Astral Blue. Little bit of mint. I don't think I have done Mint Sparkle. And Peacock. Would you like Peacock? I'll do Peacock in Angelina and Crystallina. Let's throw a little bit of the Peacock. So I'll do them individually quickly so you can see the difference. So Astral Blue. So almost, so from a blue, you've almost got a lilac and a yellow coming through on that. Mint Sparkle. I think we can see there's going to be a bit of gold in that. Mint Sparkle. So you've got that green and you've got that gold coming through. Okay. What's the difference between Angelina and Crystallina? Right. Crystallina, which is what I'm putting down now. So this is Peacock Crystallina. Can you see that the strands are thicker? It's exactly the same material, but one is finer and one is coarser. So it actually does, so these are both the same colour, these are both Peacock, and I'm going to iron them both at the same time, and you'll see it does make a difference to, not necessarily to the colours they go. Yeah, I'll do Opal Haze in a minute as well. Not necessarily the colours they go, but the texture you get. And obviously because one's thicker than the other, you sort of, the colours change quicker. So there's Peacock. So you get this beautiful like bronzy colour, a gold and a green. And then because the Angelina is finer and melts quicker, this has gone a stage further. And can you see a purple comes through on that? So you get all these. So that's from your Peacock. It really does change. And right, Opal Haze. Let's have a look. Okay, so that's Opal Haze. So again, you can see that there's a little bit of green in there. There's a little bit, but what comes out when we iron it? It's the only time I will iron on demand. Right, look at this. So we have got a green in there. We've got a sort of a pinky. This is like a sunset almost. Isn't that lovely? Okay, any more? Bit of key lime. Let's do key lime and watermelon and Calypso Blue together. Okay. Now these are Angelinas, so they really do melt a lot quicker because they're just so much finer. Okay. Look at that. So the watermelon has still got its pinky tones, but there is sort of it's a warm gold look to it. Whereas the Calypso, if I twist that, that's taken on almost the same, almost the green that Key Lime starts, whereas Key Lime then goes green with a red hint. It's just fabulous. Let's do that over a stamp and heat it some more and see it changes. And then that'll be the last one, and I'll just do a little recap then, because my dogs haven't had their tea yet and I'm surprised they're not complaining. I haven't had my tea either. Right, on the top. Now, I don't normally do this with Angelina because I don't normally need to, but normally with Angelina I would put it just straight onto the stamp and do it first off. So it's quite unusual for me to do it as a sheet. So let's see what difference that makes. Oh, that Calypso blue has gone really oil on water look. Let me just make sure I'm on the right one to do that. I mean, look at that. Really unusual colours coming through from that. Bearing in mind it started as that colour. So you can't even sort of get, I mean, you can see a little bit of a hint of what it's going to go, but the more you do it, the more colours that come out. It's just magical stuff. Right. So that is coming to the end of our exploration of Crystallina and Angelina fibres. So they're made from exactly the same material as the fusible film, but you'll see because of the way it's cut, it does act in a very different way because you've got all those different layers and the way it intertwines and stuff, so you're getting different thicknesses and different textures. But you know, we've just, it's so creative in what you can do with it, and you can create something really unique. But cut them up, mat them onto a bit of black, onto cards. I mean, black really does change these. Let me go to that one. That's probably going to be easier to show you. So yeah, can you look? The black really shows them off and really sets them off. And I would also, sometimes when you're looking at these, it's a little bit, the Calypso is beautiful. Yes, you can use red rubber stamps. When you're ironing onto stamps, it needs to either be photopolymer or red rubber. Well, rubber, because obviously rubber does come in grey as well. But sometimes just trimming it down as well, because some people don't like the sort of the messy frilly edge, but when you trim it down, mat it onto a little bit of black, you can see you've got something really special. I also sometimes combine these with silk, so sari scraps, because it's got that sort of shine and that opulence. So yeah, and I mean, that was our beautiful patchwork one. I love that idea of having all these different colours, but there is a theme to them. You can see a sort of a gold and a shimmer coming through. So although that's made up of all those individual pieces then ironed together, it's got a sort of uniformity that means that it does work as one. What other one? So this was right back at the beginning when we did that was just peacock over the stamp, the Angelina, and then this was playing with layering them together, and you can see one of the opal ones there really coming in and sort of making it itself almost more solid. Then just playing with the bright ones, and don't forget our spooky face. I love these sort of things on, and because it's soft but it springs back. I mean, that on a journal. I mean, anybody who's a Harry Potter, yes, you can reuse the trimmings. I will show you. Yeah, so if anybody's into Harry Potter and they want to do the book that screams, I mean, that is just, or Han Solo captured in carbonite. Right, let's do this and show that you can iron your trimmings. So you just saw me trim those off. Okay, so I am going to overlap that way, just because that'll be quite interesting. Have I got any more trimmings? Did I? Yeah, I did trim off another. Let's do that along the top there. So you could either, could iron it like that to create a border. That might be quite nice. Let's do it that way. As long as you overlap it so that it's got something to fuse to. Again, or if you've got the film, you could incorporate some of the film into it as well. And it is now, in the words of the Spice Girls, 2 became 1. But that down the edge of a card, I mean, it's just got such a beautiful organic feeling, or, you know, like flames leaping up. And it's just, I can't sort of express enough how much fun it is just to get stuck into something like this and play with it and enjoy it. And if you do go terribly wrong and you're not happy with it, you can chop it up into tiny little bits like we did there and make a new piece. It's quite forgiving, but you know, that's just really nice. Again, black card. I mean, you can just, you know, imagine that on the edge of a journal, or having it as a little pocket you can tuck things in. Again, you can do the encapsulation that we were doing with the film. It's just a little bit harder with the fibres, because obviously there's gaps within it. But yeah, so all of these we've done tonight. It's just an array of beautiful. Now, I love Three Tree Hill because you can make a continuation of your hills. So I could do this. So I'm only trimming one side so that I can overlap them. I am going to go down that way. Let's just, because I can, and then I will call it a night. Okay, so we'll just iron these. News. Right, so obviously, in case you hadn't realised, next Wednesday is Christmas Day. And as much as I would love to do a Facebook Live, I do think my husband might object. So I will wish you all a Merry Christmas. And I will see you again on January the 1st, usual time, 7 o'clock here. But it won't be a demo-based Facebook Live. It is going to be a January sale. But it is not going to be a January sale on the website. There might be a little gifty on the website as well. But there will be a live sale here where I will have things where we might not have many of them left, and I'm going to do them at stupid prices. So if you can tune in on New Year's Day at 7 o'clock, please do, because we'll have some right bargains for you. But it will be things that you can't find on the website. It'll be one-offs for everything. So yeah, hopefully you can join us for that. But in the meantime, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a really good crafty one, and we will catch you in the new year. Take care.